Good morning, everybody. How are you today? I'm Dave.
I'm Craig, and our guest today is Mr. Marvin Harrell.
The one
Good
and
morning.
only.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right. Uh, it's been a bit. I think what, about 2 weeks, Craig, since we've been out here on the porch. We've been busy, right?
Yes, we
My
have been a
God,
little
there's
bit
been,
busy.
yeah, so much keeping us busy. I mean, and now it's, speaking of so much, I, I'm overwhelmed myself with what's going on. I'm joyous and sad at the same time. I'm so sad, and I want to take a moment and recognize what's going on in California and Southern California and the Los Angeles area. I've lived down there. I went to school down there. It just breaks my heart to see what's happening for all these people. And if you pray, please pray for them. If you don't, wish them good well. If you can donate to a charity or a cause for them, please do. It doesn't matter what it is, a quarter, a dollar, $5, whatever you can. That town is devastated. It's in my last year, unfortunately, two incredible places in my life, Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, and now Los Angeles. Uh, they both start with an L. I don't know if that means anything. I like cheap poetry, so I look around and I'm not making light of anything. But again, please keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Now, on the good side, and there is some good news, folks. Believe it or not, our judicial system actually carried through with a verdict and a
Yeah.
sentencing. Wasn't that cool? I saw that this morning. Marvin, I'm going to ask you straight up. What did you think when you heard or saw the news of what I'm referring to?
I mean, I think that I viewed it with a bit of I don't know, just disbelief because okay, so this they've done this part, but we still got Trump still owns the Supreme Court, and so I'm waiting for the appeal, and I'm waiting for it to go to the Supreme Court, and I'm waiting for them to overturn everything that went down.
Let's stop for a minute, right? If you don't mind, because you
Sure.
mentioned the Supreme Court, and I think it's so important right there. What just happened with the Supreme Court is they denied him a hearing on this matter.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they just did that. They ruled no, and that was yesterday,
Oh,
which allowed the sentencing for today to go forward. Now,
oh.
what he's now talking about is going to the Supreme Court after the fact of the sentencing. Now, how does he get there? Well, how do you
Mhm.
get to the Supreme Court? You have to have standing. Standing means you have to have some type of constitutional right denied to you, some
Yeah.
type of harm that's protected constitutionally that was put upon you. And therefore, you have the right to come to the Supreme Court and make a determination based upon those constitutional offenses. Well, wait a minute. There's no constitutional offense here. This is a state action in New York. And the New York Supreme Court denied him as well. So there you go. Now, why did the Supreme Court deny him? Well, I mean, first of all, he brought that immunity stuff, right?
Right.
That didn't fly because
Yeah.
he was not in office at the time of this
Right.
thing. Buying booty is not within the four
It's not,
corners of
no,
duty.
buying booty is not your duty. So it's not part of your job.
Well stated, my friend. Buying booty is not your duty. Yeah, and there you go. And so he's trying to say, hey, look, I didn't falsify records. Wait a minute, let me do this. I didn't falsify any records. Nope. What happened there was I just told them it was a legal expense. Well, okay. I don't know.
Well,
Great.
it's 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 kind of, I don't know. It I look at everything that happens to him, and the him actually paying for the shit he's done. I look at it as, I don't know. I don't look at it as severe enough. I don't. I look at it. He's still getting away with freaking murder, so to speak. You know, he can cry all day long. His followers can lament his plight all day long, but the reality of it is the punishment has to fit the crime, and in his case, it doesn't. And
Absolutely
so,
right.
yeah, and so many other people do so less, so many things, things that are so less harmful, and get so worse, sentences and whatnot.
Well, this
I,
guy's a traitor. Let's be straight up about what
exactly.
this guy did. He caused an insurrection on the
Yes.
federal
Right.
building. Boom, end of issue. And did you know that he had actually made a statement saying anybody who did, I think it was in 2020, he made this statement that anybody who damages any property, federal, state, or otherwise, that they will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law with a minimum sentence of 10 years in prison. Quote. He said that. And that's exactly what he did. He's got to be the biggest piece of shit liar I've ever heard, period, anywhere. And I know people, you start going, oh, wait a minute, why you got to use such language? Well, we're tired of being nice about it. Everybody's all about, well, wait a minute. He is, a popular, and he's really trying to help the country. No, he's not trying to help the country. He's trying to help his pocket. He's trying to help his cronies around him whose lips look like hairs because, stuck in his butt. That's what you have. That's what happened.
Well, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah. I, I, every day, I just think of the who was complicit in him being in office, right? I believe mainstream media was so instrumental in getting him reelected, and I'll
Oh
tell
yeah.
you why. They could have they would they would have these shows on, and they would try to be claim they're open minded and being not focused on the right stuff, right? But then when you look at what they did and the way they actually ended up reporting it, and the fact that their motivation to keep him in office is because that clown has been on somebody's media every single day for probably the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And so that's money. That's
exactly right.
money. And all they look at him as is money.
He
You
drives
know,
ratings.
he drives ratings.
Well,
That's it.
look at Fox News. They lose $878 million. You're thinking that's that. He's off of Fox. No, okay. You look at the Washington Post, Jeff Bezos, okay. He kills the editorial getting ready to endorse Kamala. LA Times, they kill the editorial getting ready to endorse Kamala. So freedom of speech, pah, no. And
No.
all of these, they're buckling because they were what? They're concerned about the backlash of Trump. So
Yeah.
freedom of speech is shot. As I see the next 4 years, we're just fundamentally screwed. And
So
that's
Well, I try to figure out, you know, they're afraid of Trump. And
yeah.
I don't what is his what okay, he has his constituents that make, death threats and start doing. Is that what it is? I'm trying to figure out why are people so afraid of him and afraid to voice their opinions against him. There are people who won't even voice their opinions against him.
well, I'll tell you what I think. I
Yeah.
think at its fundamental, basic understanding, not to be redundant,
Hmm.
it's about greed.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
Yeah.
about
yeah,
money.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't give a rat's ass about the Constitution, our democracy,
Yeah.
No,
this country.
no.
They're willing to rape and pillage Joe across the board with it. They don't
Yeah.
care who it harms or why it harms them. What they're concerned with is their money base that their family will
Hmm.
constantly be able to have. And what are
Hmm.
we talking about here? Generational wealth. We're
Yeah.
talking about generational wealth. Generational wealth controls the country. Generational wealth keeps it within a confine of a group of people who work with each other, talk to each other, educate each other, and promote each other.
Right.
They don't want to be excluded from that group. And so they kiss ass. Look at all these politicians, especially in the Republican Party.
Yeah.
How many times have you seen him? Oh, I hate him. He's terrible. Oh, Mr. Trump, you're beautiful. Oh my God.
Well,
They talk
David,
both sides
David,
of their neck.
David, hold on. To your point, J.D. Vance, Lindsey Graham,
Marco
virtually,
Rubio.
brother, you could go across the board, all of them at one point in time, especially J.D. Vance. So when you look at the character of the individual, be damned. And again, I agree with you. You can take many possibilities off the table, but money and greed, you cannot. That remains. You are 100% correct.
And why is that though? Why is it the philosophy of our country? Well, wait a minute. What is our country based on? Isn't it as a capitalism, capitalistic ideology of survival? Dog eat dog.
Mhm.
He who survives and works the hardest makes the most, controls it. That's it. The rest of you be damned. Well, I'm not a capitalist. I'm more of I got this socialist thing going on in me. I believe that everybody should have the right to exploit their God-given talents. That's the capitalist side of me. And do that provided you don't cause harm, provided you are understanding of the community in which you live in. That's the socialist side of me. Where we create libraries, where we actually help homeless people find a way towards a path of individuality, of self-support. Things that we can do. That's socialism, folks. And this country, and that's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. Republicans want to be straight up capitalists at all costs. And Democrats choose to be capitalist socialists. They love their country, they love their neighbor, they love their family, and they want to make sure everybody's provided for.
Mhm.
Every major program, including the right to vote for women, minorities, and every other thing you can think of, Social Security, everything you can think of that benefits our society as Americans, has been created by Democrats, straight up, not by Republicans. There's very few things they have done other than secure their wealth, exploit those who are not part of that group, and make sure they control the educational system, because you got to keep some people dumb in order to do the
Well,
hard.
they've also fostered hate and division. You
Thank
know,
you.
that's like I told Dave the other day, we live in the divided states of America, not the United States of America.
Amen.
We are so divided, and that's that's probably the biggest problem right now. I believe that
Yeah.
they relish in our division,
Mhm.
and we've spoke on this before. If the people of color and the people that aren't of color but that have empathy
Mhm.
banded together, there would they wouldn't be able to do what they're doing.
That's
It,
right.
it's obvious why they keep us divided. It's obvious why hate is their main weapon. It's obvious why the police are their main tool. So they use the
Great
police. They
point.
use they use racism. They use poverty, and they use that against people of color.
Mhm.
If the playing field were equal, it wouldn't be like this. The world
Great
would
point.
our system wouldn't be like this.
I agree.
You're right.
And they don't want us to this confab we're having right now. A Latino, Craig, what are you, Irish?
Just a bunch of white stuff, you
Okay.
know?
See,
Uh,
but a white guy, I didn't want to say white guy. I just wanted to call you ethnicity. But okay, a Latino, a white guy, and a brother, right? And these types of conversations can be going on all the time in a
Oh, hell
comfortable
no.
way, you
Oh,
know.
hell no. You see, they don't want educated people to discuss things
But
and get a consensus going, because that consensus, as you've said, will already fuel that movement, will help fuel that movement. And that's what's got to be. It's a consciousness.
yeah.
It's just simple stuff. What's right and what's wrong?
but
Simple as
see,
that. And if these people out there who claim to be Christians or whatever belief they have. I'm not a religious guy. I don't follow anybody's religion. But those people who do, come on, give
Hmm.
me a break.
Well,
Hypocrites.
I got into, a conversation with a guy the other day, and it was about, religion. And then I was like, dude, I said, why is it that one religion can, if you're devout, they say the other one's wrong.
Right.
But but almost every single religion teaches understanding and patience and all this other stuff,
Acceptance.
except if they're Baptist, except if they're Jewish, except if they're Episcopalian, you know. And that's what I try to get this guy to understand, is that you can be spiritual, like you say you are, Dave, and still be okay with someone being a Baptist, and it's okay
Hmm.
because the basic tenets of religion are just common sense ways to live and treat
Right.
yourself and the world around you. And so, if you transfer that type of mentality to the political spectrum, it would work for the people,
You're
and
right.
it doesn't, because they have greed, where religion teaches that you shouldn't be greedy. All the things that religion teaches, they're so hypocritical.
That's
You
right.
know,
This
so
is why I have been friends with this man since seventh grade because of exactly what he's saying.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's
Right?
true.
yeah.
My grandmother, I was raised Methodist, and and just she stood all of 4 feet 11, right? And you could never find fault. Only a fool would try to argue with her. And one of her lines, and I'm going to jack it all up, but she would tell somebody, to your point, Marvin, that if they were a hypocrite or agreed in all this, she goes, by their actions, she would just say, you disguise your faith very well, or something very close to that, because their actions, like, if you are a believer in Christ, your actions certainly don't display that, because you should love all people regardless of their ethnicity, their color, whatever their religious position
But
is.
they can't do
You're
it.
in a grocery line, you should embrace them, and you'll find out they're Jewish. So what? But to your point, then you have these Christians, and it's jacked up.
They can't.
It's
Well, they can't.
straight
They
up.
can't. They can't do it. It's hard for them. Yeah. I mean, you think about it. The world
Yeah.
the whole world was at war with the Crusades. You know, the Muslims and the Christians. You know what I mean? It's like, no matter what,
Yeah.
religion is so anti, right? And
Yeah.
then they try to bring it into politics. They can't do that. They can't do that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't even be involved in politics. But they're
Yeah.
trying to do that so hard here. They're
Well,
really trying.
let's talk about that for a minute. That's a great point. Historically, politics and religion were the same. Okay, religious doctrine governed the political scene of just about every kingdom or whatever that ever went on. Allah or God sent it to King George or whoever the hell it was. Boom, boom. That's what's going on constantly. So let's get behind religion because I want to talk about what you
Mhm.
just said, both of you guys, because I absolutely agree with you. Whoever came up with this idea of religion, okay, in my mind, and I don't care what culture, let's take the ancient Mexica or the Mayans or whoever, the Egyptians.
Well,
It's basically a form of control.
mhm.
It isn't necessarily true that those people are so devout that they believe in it, more so that they believe their acts will cause others to believe in it. So by doing something, if I can convince you that I believe, and I can convince you that by doing this, things will happen, then you start to trust me. I start to control you.
Yeah.
And so religion to me seems to have been a concept that evolved necessarily as a way to keep structure within a given society, whatever, whether it was a tent society or cave people or whatever, doesn't matter.
Hmm.
A way to keep control of them. If you don't do the right thing, the thunder god's going to get your ass or whatever's going to get you.
Right.
You're going to go to hell. You won't go to heaven.
Well, see, and I that part too, but I also believe that probably the original origins, which I don't know, came from people trying to discover where they came from, their origins, where they came
Yeah.
from.
That's how it starts.
Yeah, they're like, okay, why am I here? What is where did I come from? So I believe that's where religion probably might have started. I don't know,
Well,
but
well, well, think about this for a minute. I think we can agree that we're not all equal. Okay. Some of us are smarter, some of us are faster, some of us, we're all different in various ways. Okay. So I love your question. Where did I come from? And as a conceptual basis for the creation of religion, the need. Okay.
yeah,
And now you have one guy who is intellectually a little better thinker than this guy down here. Back to my original point. And he says, well, I think about it and I think about it this way. He said, oh, that's interesting. He goes, yeah, because if you think this, and that, he goes,
Right.
wow, there's the control.
Hmm.
As soon as I,
but but
you
but
see,
even to a more base, to even a baser level, I believe
yeah,
that that in that system of discovery, I think that people would base what they believed on is their interactions with other humans, and
yeah,
so they realize that sharing is good and
yeah,
stealing
Right.
is bad.
yeah,
Right.
So in that discovery, they're finding out that I gave him some meat and he gave me some buffalo hides.
trade.
Right.
So they learn that that's a good thing. Sharing is good, okay, but then they learn that stealing is bad. But they learn that I can get something from sharing. So that's
Hmm.
where the part of control comes in, where you share, and the more you share, the more you get, and then you get control, right? That's when you start controlling the environment based upon how much you have to share, right? So
Yeah.
I
And
think I think that but the base of it is discovery, self-discovery of man, like what keeps harmony, what causes dissent, those all those things came into the stew of
absolutely
discovery.
right. I totally agree, and that's something that Mr. Lips
He don't
never
understand.
he never understood that.
Well, let's apply that and fast forward the element of sharing. Somebody who has more goods to share is going to have just more stuff. So
Yeah.
we'll fast forward that to present time. I think it was a game of, I don't know if it was Risk or whatever it was, that you start acquiring countries across the world or whatever. So now you see Trump and you see Putin trying to take over Ukraine and all of this. So now what do we see Trump present time trying to do? Talking about acquiring Greenland, making Canada a 51st state, Mexico, Panama.
He's got his head up his butt. He's a dictator in his mind,
Well,
and he's the
and
epitome of what we're discussing.
he's freaking out about Panama because the Chinese are down there investing their asses off. Now they're not. They don't have nothing to do with the canal.
No, they
They're
have no
investing in the
control.
infrastructure. They're
Mhm.
helping out in the infrastructure now. Now, do I think that they, excuse me, may eventually go to the canal? I don't know. But the fact is that's one of the reasons. And plus, he wanted to build a Trump Tower in goddamn, what's their capital? Um, well, anyway, he wanted to build a Trump Tower there, and they didn't allow
They
him.
Panama
denied
City.
him. You're right. This is in Panama. You're
I,
absolutely right. Not,
I think the capital is Panama City.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, well,
Panama City.
he wanted to build a casino there some time ago, and they didn't
Let's
allow him. So So he's got a bone to pick too, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, let's look at that for a minute. Remember how this guy works. He starts off with, I'm your best friend and I'm going to get you a job because I love you and I'm going to make you rich. All you got to do is support me. And then you support him. And then pretty soon, after he's done that to a bunch of people, he comes back and he says, look what's happening over here. Look what's happening over there. Oh my God, look at that.
But we thought you were going to make us rich, but you forgot about what's over there.
Yeah, I can't. I really want to. Oh no, I really want to, but I can't because I look at
Hey,
that.
Dave, don't do that, man, because I hate it when he does. I can't stand watching that man talk.
I
It makes me
know.
want to
I
take a
know.
shit. It looks like
I know. I know. It's hotly annoying.
it's bad enough when he does it, man. It's like,
I know, I hear you.
Yeah,
hey, hey, hey,
we need to shut this down before
hey,
it really takes root.
hey, Dave. Plus, see, you're close. I can drive up there and slap you. I want to slap his ass every time he does it. I'll be like, man, well, Dave looks like him. Let me just go slap Dave.
Little proxy slap.
But yeah, let's get back on point. But you know, it's unbelievable how religion, politics, and our lives are affected so strongly by both of those two.
Mhm.
And how the Republicans, their hypocritical asses, try to make it seem like they're all religious, and they're constantly getting busted for touching little boys or going lurking around bathrooms or calling hookers and taking drugs and everything under the book that is
Yeah.
so against what it says in the Bible.
Their Bible.
All Bibles.
Every Bible.
It's like they are so hypocritical, though. It's unbelievable. It's like they're following a man who is documented to have told 35,000 plus lies. 35,000 plus.
How do you justify that in your mind? I mean, how do you
Yeah.
reconcile that with your integrity?
Yeah.
You know,
And
that's my problem.
you know that,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure if either of you guys have had any conversations, but the conversations that I've had with people who are Trump supporters
Yeah.
is just straight up everything denial.
Yeah,
It's like they're in denial about everything he's done. They're in denial about everything he said. So they're living in a world of denial, you know?
absolutely right. Absolutely right. And why? Because it justifies their own position of hatred, bigotry, and prejudice. That's why. And you see, what Trump does is he manifests that as good stuff, as it's okay to be that way. And so by following him, they can say, well, I don't like Mexicans, I don't like these people, or whoever it may be. They can do and get away with that. And
But
that's why they like him.
and they'd also
He
like
allows
him.
them to come out of the closet.
Well, they also like him because the Trump supporters that I know are not the sharpest pencil in the pack,
Yeah.
or the brightest bulb on the lampshade or whatever. But it's a disinformation, and it's a I see no, hear no, speak no, right? They want to act like it doesn't
Ignorance.
exist if somebody told them that he's going to do this for them, and it's so sad. But even his attack on the education system, how he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. Well, he
Right.
wants people to be dumb as fuck, because
Right.
if you're dumb, they can tell you whatever they want to tell you, and
That's how
only
you
the rich,
control them.
and only the rich will want to be able to afford to go to school, because they'll make it so that private, or they'll get the best educations, and
Absolutely
then
right.
they'll leave
Public
the rest of,
education is extremely important to this country.
yeah, they'll
Okay.
leave the rest of us scrambling for crumbs, man, like
That's
they
right.
always do. Like
That's right.
they always do that.
And
But
a lot of people who think that he is going to help them because they're white, they are wrong. He
no,
helps
it
those
doesn't.
who helps his pocket.
Well, but the unfortunate thing is most of the policies that he does implement help rich people who are
Right.
mostly white, who are
Oh, you're
mostly
absolutely
white.
right. But I'm talking about
So,
the
so
dumb people you were talking about
yeah,
earlier.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about
But
those ignorant people who, or and I'm going to say stupid, and here's why.
Yeah.
Ignorance is I've never been exposed to the
no,
knowledge.
they're stupid. They
They're
refuse to learn.
stupid.
They
Thank you.
refuse to learn.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah, yeah, they
Good point.
refuse to learn.
Yeah.
But on a kind of segue to a different subject is I was having a conversation. I've been like this evening. I'm gonna go out to eat with some bunch of school teachers. I've been hanging out with these school teachers, and so we were all sitting around talking, and they were. This one guy was telling how at the school where he goes, oh my goodness, low power, where he teaches the. They're gonna have to start. He's gonna have to start teaching third graders sex education. He's going to have to start teaching them about the LGBTQ issue. And then he's also going to have to start teaching at the same time. Remember when we went, the boys all got separated from the girls in eighth grade for they could learn about their period?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They separated us, remember?
Yeah.
Health
That
education.
that was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
health ed. Yeah.
No, I don't know if it's health education, but it's where they
I remember.
the girls all get told about their menstrual cycle. Well, now they have to do it in tandem with the boys. Do you know that that's gonna open up the door for freaking taunting, for bullying, all kinds of retarded shit? So and he said that it's the union or the liberals that are causing this shit. Now, I believe because I'm liberal, but I think there's certain things you shouldn't teach, or
I totally
they,
agree with
they
you.
should be taught with more sensitivity.
Yeah, or at home. And here's the other thing. I don't think that boys at that age really need to be discussing that with girls. And I think the
At
girls,
all.
I think they need to keep that subject away so they don't learn.
Yes,
They need to be playing tennis. They need to be in
yes.
chess club. They need to be in art class,
Well, they need to
music
keep it the
class.
way they did it. Why do they change that?
Hey, they used to run our ass around the field all day long and wear that shit right out of us.
Yeah.
Okay? We're gonna run that shit out of them.
Well, I mean, why would they think it's who does that benefit to teach about the girls' menstrual cycle in the same room with boys? It's going to cause the girls embarrassment. It's a number of things in and the boys will be like the next week. Are you bleeding today, Jenny? All
Yeah.
kinds of stupid shit.
I totally agree with you. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, man. I can't. When
Inappropriate.
yeah, and they're all of the same mindset. All of these teachers, they're like, we don't want to teach that way. We don't. That's not the
They
way.
should go on strike.
Yeah, yeah. It was the union that's this guy. One of the teachers claimed that it's the union pushing it, but I don't know. I don't know.
The
Wow.
That's
union has no say so over subject matter. The union protects only workers' rights. So
but
that
see,
doesn't
the
make any
union is
sense.
comprised of the workers, so a lot of the people that make to push these decisions are workers anyway. They're within they're rank and file, right? So the rank and file is what makes up the union. So somebody is pushing this agenda. I don't know, but if you would think that if it was the school board pushing it, the union would be fighting it.
Well, I'll tell you what. I loved my ignorance at that age because it gave me something to explore later on.
I just don't think that stuff should be taught to the
I agree.
kids at such a young age. They need to be able to process sex. They
Right,
know that they got that thing that does what it does,
right.
and they need to find out about it a little later, like sixth
I
grade,
totally
seventh
agree.
grade, right?
Yeah, eighth grade. Yeah,
But from the teach them third and fourth grade, that is ridiculous,
Yeah.
man.
No.
stupid.
But that's our country. Where are we headed? I swear, I feel like we're in the vortex of the drain of the sink,
Well,
man.
here's something to think about. Somebody told me, and I took note of it, that our parents raised us in an age and time that is no longer applicable today.
Hmm.
We raised our children in an age and time that is no longer applicable today.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So that consideration, that perspective when viewing history is so important. In order to understand history, you need to walk those shoes at that time to
Yeah.
understand those particular circumstances. So
Hmm.
let that consideration, even with that, I still agree. I think it's inappropriate.
Well,
Yeah,
well, because of the fact that we're not basing this upon something that's historical, we're basing it upon something that's happening now. It's
Absolutely.
present.
yeah,
So we can chime in on it,
Yeah. Oh,
and actually
absolutely.
be involved if there's a change, right? If that's something we wanted to do.
exactly.
Yeah.
There's now the things that happened in the past, they're gone, right?
Yeah.
But what's
Yeah.
going
I
on
agree.
now, we can speak on it, or whatever, but you see these I think a lot of this confused sexuality of these kids, I believe is fad driven. I believe the media has a lot to do with it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Social media, I mean, and
Yeah.
I believe that ha- half of them who think they're gay now in 20 years are not are going to say, oh, that was just a phase. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Or half of them that think they're bunny rabbits. They got literally got these people that call themselves furries, or
yeah.
you know what I mean? They got all these different designations. It's like that shit seems to be. If the internet didn't exist, that shit wouldn't exist. I really
Let me
believe
ask
that.
you. Let me ask you this, Marvin. I was a single dad for years, raising three kids. If my son came home and said that he is a furry, I would say, "Oh, knock that bullshit off."
Yeah,
Straight up,
yeah,
straight up. So
Hey,
now I might get blasted on this podcast saying, well, there's not the way you parent. I have three great adult kids now. So right or wrong parenting, I don't know. But as a single dad, I didn't have time to check the parental owner's manual. But if one of my kids came home with what I would deem goofy shit, we knock that out right now. We're sitting down. I didn't ask him, how does this make you feel? Um, if it didn't fly with me, it was done. So, like this bunny rabbit stuff, I have $2 on the end. My son's in the middle. I would just say, I don't know where this came from, but you ain't a bunny rabbit. We're done here. That's it. Knock this shit off. And
yeah.
I would trace the origin. I said, where'd you get this bullshit? And well, then I say, Brittany, you honest to God, do you think, do I look like a rabbit? Did your mother look like a rabbit? Do you think there's a remote possibility you're a bunny rabbit? Okay, right. You're not. Knock this shit off.
Well, and see my son, and I think I've told you guys before. He came to live with me when he was 4. I
Yeah,
knew immediately that he had homosexual tendencies. You could
yeah,
tell, you know,
yeah.
and he's gay, right?
Uh-huh.
I accepted him then, accept him now. I didn't
Sure.
try to change him. I'm going to be honest with you. When I did get him into karate. I had him in, all these things trying to toughen him up. But,
Right.
I realized that that's who he is.
Right.
He's smart as hell.
Right.
So, and he's a good looking guy. So the thing is, you as a parent, you can't change that part of your
That's
kid.
right.
But
That's
these
right.
little fad things that they're doing now,
Different story. Different
yeah,
story. And if I may, you knew as a dad, you picked up on it. You saw that, and you
yeah.
thought, okay, that's my son. I love him.
well,
Then
you know something?
you go ahead, David.
I gotta say this because I'm listening to you two guys.
Yeah.
All right. And because we comment a lot about historically and tradition culturally, we make a lot of comments like that. And God, I come from a generation that was running around buying rocks as pets, in little boxes and whatnot, pet rock. And I know of indigenous folks who aligned themselves with animals all the time,
Yeah.
who thought of themselves as bears and coyotes and lions and
That's
hawks.
different.
No, I know.
Oh,
I'm trying to create a perspective on how societies view things because we've been talking back and forth about social concepts and precepts relative to cultural quirkiness, if you will, because every generation has something weird going on, something in them. Our generation, my mom hated a Beatle haircut and Beatle boots. Don't even wear those. Okay, she was
Mm.
adamant. Oh man, anything that looked like a pachuco or something, don't even dress that way. I mean, my mom had this concept of what things should be, etc., and our society does. And I think again, to get a good perspective on what's going on. And Marvin, you guys both, I think you both make absolute sense. It is the social media, and I
Yeah,
think a lot of bullshit. I've never been a fad follower. It was
yeah,
difficult for me as a kid growing up, and you too, Marvin, to blend into I tried to be these things, but I couldn't do it. It was like something was weird. I couldn't follow fads. It was like, because we have our own minds.
Yeah.
yeah,
You see, the three of us, and I'm not going to slap us around like that we're something great, but we're not idiots.
yeah.
We're educated men. We got experience in life. We've done a lot of different things. But so we get this.
But David, you just said also really important, generational, our generation, the way that, I parented and the way Marvin parented, we loved our kids. We did what we felt was right. And, I might be at a loss parenting now, but I don't concern myself because that's how parenting was now. I'm at a loss. The other day I read something, and guys, help me if I get this all jacked up, but all the different ways, like he, she, all these different iterations of the way
The
you
pronouns.
have to check the boxes. Now I'm thinking, what about just boy, girl, this, that, but all of these combination of possibilities, like no wonder kids are jacked up. It's like, huh?
We're confusing them as to who they are.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, kids, you go to a restaurant now and you see so many people with their phones just, doing
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when we grew up, here in the LA County area, I think we had seven stations, 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11, and 13. And that was it, right? Then you finally had cable. It's like, whoa, but nobody knew what to do with cable. And that was it. And you had call waiting eventually. I was like,
But see,
whoa,
you're
you have
arguing
call
my.
waiting.
I got to stop you. You're arguing my perspective. That's my point.
Well, that's
That
what I'm
was what
saying.
was
So now,
happening
no,
in
not
your
right. And
generation.
so now we fast forward to all of this, like we were talking about, all of this data coming in for these young kids. And it's like,
Too
it's
much.
too much,
Well,
man.
okay, think about it. Think about
Too
it.
much. Too much.
Okay, like Dave said, there's change. But when we were coming up, okay, there were homosexual, transsexual, transvestites. You had lesbians, and then you had your pedophiles. That's pretty much the categories that we had, right?
Yeah.
Now you have all these categories, and is it real? To me, it just seems fad like
Well,
more
you
Yeah.
than.
just did something though, Marvin. You just grouped pedophiles with that other group of people.
Well, that's
And
because those are proclivities that people have, right? I
whoa, whoa,
forgot to
whoa, whoa,
mention
whoa,
I
whoa,
forgot to
whoa.
mention heterosexual as well.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. But to me, lifestyle versus criminal conduct.
But
That's
it's
what I
still
put.
is what people do for.
Pedophilia to me is a criminal act.
Yeah, but it's still well. We're not talking about the law
No,
part of
I
it.
know. I'm
I'm
just my
talking about the
background.
moral. I'm talking about the moral aspect of it.
Well,
So morally, it's different than the legal aspect of it,
it's,
right? Because
well,
I'm just categorizing them
I think
pedophiles, but I
morally.
didn't say criminals. I didn't say murderers or
So I got to ask you.
rapists. I was putting them in a category with
Okay,
a
Hmm.
sexual category
okay. So
versus a legal category.
do you think that category is immoral?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so you align transvestism, homosexuality,
We're not talking
all
about the
that. Well,
morality.
no, no, no.
We're
You just
talking
said. I'm
about
just
the
saying what you
sexual.
said.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not talking about whether it's immoral or moral. I'm just talking about the categories that people have, and you could
Oh, I see what you're
consider
saying.
that
I
people
get it.
have themselves the
I see what you're
sexual
saying.
categories.
Yeah.
So
They
it's
create that morality, right?
yeah. So the category you could be a pedophile and you're no aspect of that is moral, but then some people consider homosexual sexuality immoral, right?
Yeah.
And some people consider it criminal. So
Yeah.
it's not for me. I was just putting it into
I
a
got you.
sexual category.
I
Right.
got you.
So I mean, but I don't. I think that people, a lot of those categories are just like a fad.
I
You know,
agree.
like these young guys. There's a young man downstairs right now from me where I live. It's clearly a girl, but he lives with his aunt, and he calls himself a boy. And now he looks like a boy. He cuts his hair like a boy, he dresses like a boy. He had issues at school, when he first went there, but they have him in a special class. But the thing is, there weren't that many people that like that when we were growing up.
No.
There weren't there. When you hear about it now, it's like it's everywhere. All these girls want to be boys, and all these boys want to be girls. I never heard of that shit before. Not,
Yeah.
not like now, and not acting that way. Like now, it's everywhere.
Marvin, in our
go to-
neighborhood,
Huh?
you wouldn't be able to make it home if you got a title like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah. I mean, it's just weird. It was just, I mean, we had gay guys in our school, Junius Harvey, Richard Cook. There was a bunch of them
Yeah,
in
there's
high
a lot
school.
of guys.
Yeah, but everyone got along with everybody.
They were
right?
nice. Yeah, they didn't sit there and do weird things to you or try to come on to you or nothing.
Yeah.
You just kind of knew they were feminine.
Right. But I think too, a lot of that fear of them is manufactured. The men out of the bath, keep the men out of the women's bathroom. Well, how many women are trying to get into men's bathrooms? How many women transsexuals are trying to get into men's bathrooms? I don't think it exists. And I think that the men that are transsexuals that are trying to get into women are so few that they probably all could fit in my freaking living room.
I'm like, who's looking? I'm like, how do you know? You
I
peeping
know.
on him?
I know.
Let's see what's going on down
I
there.
know.
Right? Does he got one?
I know.
How do you know?
I'm just here to do my business. I mean nobody no harm. I just want my spot and I'm out of here.
Well, you hear how at the White House though they made this rule to where the women if
I know.
you have to be born a male.
Congress.
I
You
know.
got to be born a male to use the males and born a woman to use the women's.
Yeah.
That is just that's where our country's at, man.
Yeah, that was thanks to Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Her
You know
big
what it is?
contribution.
You guys got to wait. I got to say this. You guys got to be serious about this. Poop is different depending upon who poops it. It's different poop. I don't know how they figured that out, but somehow somebody figured that out. I don't know if it's the smell, is it the shape, the color, but I'm always wondering. Science always amazes me. Who actually thought and said, I'm gonna figure out what poop is transsexual, what poop is homosexual.
Right. Oh, I got you. You got that looks like gay piss. I could smell it from a mile.
It's gay pee.
But we got back to the White House, and you think about this, and I could be wrong, but doesn't it seem like all of the really mad, stupid shit that we're going through has been really pretty much since Trump got involved?
Absolutely dead right. Dead right.
And gentlemen, he hasn't even been sworn in yet.
I'm talking about
he's talking about the
6 years. 6 years.
In
6 to 8, 10 years.
2016.
I know. Yeah. I know.
So
look, we all remember. I remember well from 2016 to 2020. I would get up 2:32 in the morning, go to the bathroom. Do I dare look at my iPhone? I think, why not? See where he sent out a dipshit tweet.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, geez. And it gives you a glimpse of the next day.
It's not
We
him.
lived through that chaos. We know
It isn't
we know
Trump.
what we're in store for.
I know we're sitting here bashing this guy.
It's Trump and his
like him
ilk.
with the damn.
It's Trump
But
and his ilk.
It's not Trump.
Yeah.
You got to understand something. Trump opened a door.
Yes.
He opened the door and let out all these crazy ass people who are hateful.
Well, David, think
people.
about it. He is, you say, a flawed man. He's a flawed man on steroids. So it allows every,
That's my
no,
point.
no, no.
That's my
So
point.
every hold on. So everybody less than him who is flawed, like to your point, it opens the gate. Like here we go, criminals run wild.
Remember
That's what we have.
something. That rebel flag has been flying since the Civil
Uh,
War and has never stopped.
No, yeah, it did. It came back after the after when they brought that flag back after the Civil Rights Act was passed back in 1965. They had put that flag away. It wasn't their symbol. It was still, in the background, but they
That's my
really.
point. That's my point. The flag, and they said this, the South will come and rise again. And they meant that. And
That's
that
what they're
has
trying
been
to
going
do.
on since.
Yeah,
Since. And you're so right, Marvin. And they had a reason to bring it back out. And like Craig was saying, exactly dead on.
that's a symbol of their
guys,
hate.
guys, if I could touch on this in a moment, for a moment, my family, we had family that fought both North and South. I guarantee you, our family on the South, as far as they're concerned, the South never lost. So, like to your point, David, that flag it's flying in somebody's attic, somebody's house, somebody's living room. Like you said, David, the South will rise again. And that mentality, that racism, that bigotry, that hatred, it didn't go anywhere. It didn't go
No,
anywhere. It
no,
And
didn't go
all
anywhere.
Trump did was open the door and allow it to be justified and
That's right.
exposed. And that's why their greed is passionately pursued by their hate.
their hate. Well,
Their
and
hate.
that's why they embrace him, because he feels the way they do.
Exactly
They're
right.
they're they're the same,
Exactly.
and
They're the
and
same.
that's why we have to figure out a way to fight hate, and the way we fight hate is to educate people, right? Uh, the you know the lady I was dating, she was a Trumpster, and the one day she tells me, you say you talk a lot of shit about white people, but you have a lot of white friends. I said, well, you take it the wrong way. I said, I when I say white people, I mean I really what I'm saying is Washington D.C. white people, because most of the people running this country are white men, right? So
Yeah.
I told her that's who I'm talking about. I'm not talking about my friends, but it's so weird how they can't. Certain people cannot change that. Some people hate all black people. No, I only hate certain white people. I don't hate all white people. So that's what I was trying to tell her,
Yeah.
right? But some people they hate all Mexicans, or some Mexicans hate all blacks, but they hate them all. And me, I live in Trump territory where I live. I speak to everybody.
Me
I'm going to
too.
the store. I walk in the store. I see the reddest neck person. I only get one or two people who don't speak. These are their hardcore people, like the guy who wouldn't shake Kamala's hand the other day. Those are the type of people who will not speak. But otherwise, everyone speaks, and so that shows me that they're voting, the people they vote for, they really don't have a clue. And a lot of the people that voted for Trump aren't racist. I don't believe everyone that voted for Trump is
I agree with
racist.
you. I
Uh,
absolutely agree with you. But they
uh,
find what they are is greedy,
yeah, or just not well educated.
or just not well educated. And they go along with the flow. My daddy voted for him, so I got to
Yeah,
vote for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that if we start embracing the people who he has gotten screwed up, or changing their perception of black people, of Latino, because that's what I do. That's why when
That's
I
what I
when
do
I'm
too.
out in the streets, I consider myself an ambassador for black people. I
Yeah.
swear to God. So my behavior, the way I carry myself, is 100%. I'm representing my ethnicity, my people,
Yeah.
because I know that they're looking at me and they're expecting a certain person, a certain way that I'm going to act.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't do that.
Marvin, we all have that. Regardless of whether you want to or not, you are representative of your culture and ethnicity.
But everyone isn't cognizant of that.
No, they're not aware they're representing. No.
Right, right.
Right.
So I remain cognizant because of the fact that I feel like I want to be a good ambassador for my people.
Right there.
So
that's why I try to feel like I represent Americans, not Mexicans. I'm not from Mexico. Okay, neither are my parents, my grandparents. Okay, but I have that ethnic cultural background historically.
but see,
But I'm
Dave,
American, and I represent Americans.
you can espouse that American all day long, but they look at you, you're a Mexican, bruh.
That's right.
So here's the
that's where I
deal.
was going.
So here's the deal. So when you out there representing, you're representing a Mexican.
Yeah, and guess what? Once they start talking to me and they understand me, they change that attitude real quick. Because I know that because what they're expecting, man, they're expecting me to come and say, hey, my name's David Espinosa, man. How you doing, huh? Hey, let's talk. That's what they're expecting. And when they don't get that, they change up real quick. And because I am not that. That was part of my problem. I represent a Chicano in this country. I am not looked at as an American white person because of my ethnic background. And I am not accepted as a Mexican because of my national background. I'm a Chicano, and that's how I present myself. And I feel strong about that because that's how I was raised. You know, God, I didn't cross any border or anything like that. And my national language is English, and I was just studying Spanish in school and German.
But to my point, they look at you and they see a Mexican.
Absolutely right.
Okay, they don't know of the semantics aspect of it as
they don't know anything.
Chicano or anything. They see a Mexican. They look
Absolutely
at me,
right.
they see a black man.
Absolutely
so when I
right.
walk out of my house, this black man, this black American is going to go outside and represent to the best of his ability to
and
make his people look good.
They see an American.
No, they still see a black man.
Well, black American, Mexican American, white American over there.
For the people that say they don't see color, they can kiss my black ass because they see color. They're because lying. You cannot not see color.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Hey, look, I got an emergency call from my sister. She texted me. She texted me a minute ago, and I tried to ignore it, but I got to answer this.
Okay. Well, I think we're coming up to an hour anyhow. So
okay. All right,
great podcast, guys.
Yes, good talking with you guys.
Peace.
Thank you, Marvin.
Peace.
Have a great day, and good luck on the call.
All right, thanks.
Love you out there. You take care. Do good, and remember, keep the people in LA in your thoughts. Prayers.
Right on. Yeah. Yes. Do that.
Right on.
Bye.
Later.